This video is going to go through 3 different positions on how you can hold the DJI RS4 to get stable footage.
Gimbal set up, we're ready to go. Now the only other thing I would add would be the back handle attachment. Now this back handle can rotate from being down here as a 2-handle design like this. It could be out here or it could be up here so that you could have this kind of upper handle that's backed by the top motor. This is the position I personally like working in. So it has this kind of 2 angle, one up top and one down below, and then I could control the gimbal much better. So we're gonna go over a few gimbal positions on how you hold this gimbal. The first is just kind of the standard style. This would be like the lollipop style. I'll take off the back handle. I'll even take off the bottom tripod to make this as small as possible. And to operate this gimbal, you just hold it upright. You can see the screen right here in front of your face, and then you'll move forwards, backwards, turn and pan, move all around to get your shot. So if I'm over here and I want to get a shot of you over there, I'm going to put both hands on and walk forward to get a shot moving towards the camera. The other way to operate like this is put on this briefcase handle, and it's the same style except for you have one hand on the back with the handle up top, one hand on the battery itself, and it's a lot easier to control because you have 2 hands to operate. Having 2 points of contact is going to make the whole thing much more stable when you're operating. So whether you're moving around, sliding around, forwards, backwards, walking with your subject, whatever you're doing, having the 2 hands gives you 2 points of contact. Now, I personally love adding the tripod and just keeping it on at all times. It obviously makes the whole setup a little bit bigger, so if you don't want as big of a setup, you won't use this, but you can put your hand on the tripod, the back hand on the briefcase handle, and now you have even further points of contact on this gimbal, and it's a lot easier to manipulate because your hands are spread out further, and you're able to just control it much better. So, if we're coming over here again, and let's say I want to do an orbit shot of you over there, I could start here, start working my way across, and I could create an orbit shot, giving me a nice stable shot. 2 points of contact gives my hands further apart. It's just more of a stable way to operate a gimbal. So that's how you're mainly going to be operating a gimbal. A lot of times when you're walking through a scene or you're really just trying to get a stable shot, the easiest way is right here. Now, the next way to operate this gimbal is kind of in the flashlight mode. So we'll point it straight out, and if we don't have the briefcase handle on, let's remove that again, you could put 2 hands like this and move forward and backward. And when you're doing the 360 spin, this is how you would operate it. Now, to make this mode easier, you would use the briefcase handle. So this is why I say this accessory is such an important one to use with your gimbal, because when you're in the flashlight mode, you can have one hand on top, one on your tripod, and now it's a lot easier to move forward, backwards, move around, and you could operate without bending your wrists in a weird way if they're, on this. It's a much more natural way to operate, being able to keep it on this top handle.
I'm going to pause this video for 1 second to tell you that this channel is supported by those of you who purchase my LUTs and creator courses over on my website, The Creator Film School. Check out my new course, which is 30 days to become a successful adventure creator. Or check out my set of adventure LUTs, which you could use with any camera, and they're the same LUTs that I use on every video on my channel. All right, back into the video.
Now, this is also how you could get down low. So when you have the briefcase handle on, you could come down low, hold just the briefcase handle, and now you could get a low shot. You're still in the flashlight mode, but you're using the briefcase handle to get down low, be able to do a low shot. So, facing you there, if I wanted to come towards the camera, I'm gonna keep it low and just walk. And now you get a lot of foreground with the ground because I'm super close to it. And it's easy to switch. Naturally, the camera will just stay where you want it to when you're in the pan follow mode. So basically I'm in PF mode, pan follow. So what that means is when I go up and down, the camera's not gonna tilt. That's how I'm able to switch between these different modes, and the camera is still staying straight. The only thing that's moving with me is the pan. So it's gonna follow where I pan to. If you're in something like pan tilt follow and you're holding it like this and you go down to flashlight mode, well, the camera's gonna tilt down with you. So really switching between the modes where it's up top, flashlight, and then ultimately underslung mode, you wanna have it in the pan follow so it keeps that camera straight out whenever you're moving the gimbal. So let's take off the briefcase handle and let's go into underslung mode. So you could flip the gimbal completely upside down and operate like this. So if you wanted to get super low to the ground and hold up high here, you could operate this gimbal upside down. And depending on what camera and lens you have on this, you won't see that front motor in front of the lens. You can see it gets pretty close, but even with a 16mm, it's far enough back that you're not seeing that in your shot. And you actually have enough clearance here where you can pan, and the motor's only gonna get in it if you come this far forward. So you just have to watch that motor. So that's one limitation when you are shooting in this underslung mode. However, it does give you the ability to shoot with the gimbal upside down. And the gimbal operates the same no matter which way you're holding it. As you're moving, the gimbal's gonna follow. Let's put the camera straight out in front. If I want to move the camera to the right, I could either twist the gimbal with my wrists and it's gonna pan to the right, or I could keep my body in line with my wrists and move my entire body to shift from straight forward and panning. Now, if we switch it over to pan tilt follow, it's the same thing except for it also acts on your tilt axis. So if I tilt my wrist forward, the camera's also gonna follow my wrist action, moving it forward. And if I tilt my wrist back, the camera's gonna follow as well. So you use a combination of your wrist motion as well as your body to be able to move the camera in space. And at first, if you're new to gimbals completely, it just takes practice learning how to move the gimbal to get smooth shots. Because the biggest thing you want to avoid is jerky footage. So if I put my smoothness to fast and I'm responsive, you see that the camera whips around. Now, this might be something you need if you're following like really fast action, but the majority of the time, it doesn't look that good to be jerky. Let's go back to smooth and at 15 for my speed. Now when I move, the camera's gonna take a little time to follow. It's gonna feather in and out. So it's not a quick, jerky, snappy motion. So I could use my wrists, pan, and you can see I use my body weight. So I shift my body when I move around. And that's how I control the camera. I kind of make the gimbal feel like it's an extra arm sticking out in front. And so if I rotate my body, I can make a smoother motion than if I was to just try and rotate my wrist. You have more control when you use more of your body to do the motions. And so you'll see a lot of times, especially when I'm doing high to low stuff. I do a lot of fitness filming with a gimbal. I'm always chasing people, trying to make it smooth. And whenever I'm operating, if someone's doing a workout or something, I'll be down here low and I'll be squatting down and I'll come up and I'll be moving. I'll side lunge or left to right, moving up high, pointing down low, and then squatting down and pointing up. And so it's kind of a dance, it's kind of an art to really get the feel for these motions, and it depends on the type of content that you're shooting. If you just want smooth footage and you're walking through a house, if you're doing like a real estate video, well, it might be a lot of just kind of this filming where you're just upright in this lollipop mode, just walking smoothly, moving slightly to left or right. But if you're doing something like fitness, you're gonna be all over the place, up, down. Maybe you're tracking someone through some buildings. Well, then you're gonna be following here and turning and whipping all around. It really does open up the ability to have a smooth, stable camera when you're out filming. And I highly suggest, after watching this video, check out this playlist of gimbal moves. It's gonna give you a ton of ideas. And even if it's a different style of gimbal, a different camera, doesn't matter. The gimbal moves will be the same no matter what gimbal you work with. And it'll just give you a ton of ideas of what to shoot when you're out filming. And so I'll see you over there.